moments in life when you must learn to listen not with your ears, but with your spirit. Because God doesn't always speak through thunder. Sometimes he speaks through the wind. He orchestrates the unseen, aligns the unexpected, and moves in ways that the natural mind cannot comprehend. When he desires to bring two souls together, he doesn't simply arrange an introduction. He orchestrates a transformation. He prepares hearts, shifts circumstances, and weaves together destinies long before the two even realize they are being drawn by the same divine current. But the path to alignment is not always straightforward. It may come through silence, through delay, through doors that seem to close before the right one opens. Yet every moment, every detour, every unanswered question is part of a masterful composition. And when his time collides with your obedience, you will realize this was never coincidence. This was always divine, and what God has set in motion, no force on earth can undo. Long before you even realize it, before the thought even crosses your mind, God is already at work. You may think you are wondering, searching, waiting, but the truth is, God is aligning before you spoke your first words, before you took your first breath. He had already ordained the moments that would shape your journey. And when it comes to the person he has chosen for you, he is not moving randomly. He is moving with divine precision. There is a season where nothing seems to make sense. You look around and wonder why things aren't coming together the way you expected. You question why certain relationships didn't last, why doors closed when you thought they should stay open, why love seemed to slip through your fingers just when you thought you had found it. But God is not in the business of coincidence. He is in the business of calling. You see, when God ordains a connection, it doesn't begin the moment you meet the person. It doesn't begin when you exchange words, when your hands first touch, or even when you fall in love. It begins long before time stamped itself onto your story, before your heart even knew what it longed for. And that's why some things had to be delayed. That's why some things had to be denied. That's why some things had to be disrupted. Not because God forgot about you, but because he was preparing something greater than you could comprehend. God is the master weaver. He intertwines purpose, destiny, and divine appointments in a way that no human hand can unravel. And just like the stars in the sky move in a synchronized dance, so do the people God has predestined to be in your life. No step is out of place. No moment is wasted, even in the times when you feel alone, even in the times when you wonder if God is silent. He is working behind the veil of time, arranging a divine intersection where two paths will meet, not by chance, but by destiny. Think about Ruth in the fields, simply gathering grain, unaware that divine alignment was leading her to Boaz. Think about Esther, placed in a palace, thinking she was just another girl among many, not realizing that God had already aligned her for a king. Think about Adam resting in the deep sleep of trust, unaware that while he slept, God was fashioning Eve from his very rib. What looked like silence was actually strategy. What looked like waiting was actually divine positioning. And so I need you to understand, you are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. If you feel like you've been waiting, if it seems like love has passed you by, it is because God is still aligning. There are things being moved into place. There are prayers you don't even know you need to pray that he has already answered. There are doors he has shut not to punish you, but to protect you from walking into something beneath what he has prepared. Don't rush the process. Don't try to force what is not yet ready. Just as the sun rises at its appointed time, just as the tides follow the pull of the moon, just as the earth orbits in perfect timing, so will your life align when the moment is right. Because when God ordains something, it will not be forced, it will not be chaotic, it will not be uncertain, it will be divinely orchestrated. It will carry the weight of heaven upon it. And when that moment comes, when the person he has chosen steps into your life, you will look back and realize why everything else had to fall away. You will thank him for the no's. You will praise him for the delays. You will worship him for the waiting. Because in that moment you will see that what he was doing all along was not withholding love from you. He was aligning love for you. And what God aligns, no man can separate. Sometimes God speaks in whispers, other times he moves like thunder. But one thing is certain, when he is orchestrating something in your life, he will confirm it. Not always in the way you expect, not always in the way you desire, but in a way that leaves no room for doubt. You see, when God has chosen someone for you, the signs will not come from your emotions alone. It won't just be about chemistry, attraction, or fleeting excitement. It will be deeper. It will be divine. And when God confirms something, it will be undeniable, because his voice is louder than the voices of fear, doubt, and confusion. Sometimes that confirmation will come through peace, a peace that settles over you like a quiet river, even when circumstances are uncertain. Because when something is truly from God, it won't leave you in a constant state of turmoil. It won't have you begging for love. It won't leave you questioning your worth. It won't feel like you have to fight just to be seen. No, when God is in it, he will give you clarity in the stillness, assurance in the waiting, and a knowing so deep that no storm can shake it. Other times, confirmation will come through alignment, doors opening in ways you never expected, opportunities arising that seem too perfect to be coincidence. Maybe it's a connection that keeps resurfacing, a relationship that withstands storms, or a divine appointment that seems orchestrated by unseen hands. Because when God is writing the story, he will place the right people in the right place at the right time, not a second too early, not a moment too late. But hear me, confirmation is not always comfortable. Sometimes it comes through removal. Sometimes the greatest sign that something is not from God is how hard you have to fight to hold on to it. You prayed for direction, but he gave you distance. You asked for a sign, and he sent a separation. You wanted an open door, and he slammed it shut. Not because he was trying to hurt you, but because he was protecting you from settling for something that was never yours to keep. And here's the truth many don't want to face. God's confirmation often requires surrender. It requires you to let go of what you thought you wanted so he can give you what you truly need. It requires you to stop chasing people who were never meant to stay. It requires you to release the counterfeit so that the divine appointment can take its place. Because when God confirms something, it will be consistent. It will not just be a feeling, it will be a pattern. He will keep showing you in ways that you cannot ignore, through his word, through wise counsel, through moments that seem orchestrated just for you. He will remind you through messages, through divine encounters, through a stirring in your spirit that tells you, this is it. This is what I've been preparing you for. But you have to be willing to listen. You have to be willing to trust. Because sometimes we want confirmation, but we only want it if it aligns with our desires. We want God to show us, but only if it matches the picture in our minds. But God's ways are not our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And when he is speaking, when he is aligning, when he is confirming, you must be willing to obey, even when it doesn't make sense. Because at the end of the day, God does not bless confusion. He does not lead you into chaos. When he brings something into your life, he does not leave you grasping in the dark. He speaks, he confirms, he aligns. And when it's from him, you won't have to force it. So if you're waiting for a sign, if you're praying for an answer, if you're wondering whether this is the one, pay attention. God is not silent. He has been speaking. He has been showing you. The question is, are you willing to see it? Because what he confirms, he will sustain. And what he sustains, no force in hell can take away. When God brings two people together, don't expect the road to be smooth. Don't expect everything to fall into place without resistance, because the enemy does not attack what is not a threat. The enemy does not war against what does not have divine purpose. If the relationship you're stepping into is ordained by God, expect opposition, expect distractions, expect misunderstandings, expect challenges that will try to make you doubt what you already know in your spirit. But hear me, no obstacle can override what God has established. No delay can cancel what God has spoken. No attack can destroy what is being built on the foundation of his will. Think about Joseph. He had a dream, a vision of what was coming, of what was promised, but before the promise was fulfilled, there was the pit. Before the elevation, there was betrayal. Before the palace, there was the prison, because the road to destiny is never without resistance. So why do we think it would be any different when it comes to love? Why do we assume that if we face obstacles, it must not be God's will? Why do we let fear creep in, whispering that hardship means God has changed his mind? God does not change his mind. What he ordains, he finishes. That's why when challenges come, when misunderstandings arise, when people start speaking against what God has put together, you must stand firm in what you know. If he told you this was the person, if he confirmed it in your spirit, if he has aligned the steps, do not let temporary trials make you doubt an eternal promise. But listen closely. There's a difference between obstacles that are meant to refine you and obstacles that are meant to warn you. There is a difference between resistance and redirection. Some storms come to strengthen, but some come to separate. Some trials come to test, but some come to tell you this is not it. So how do you know the difference? Peace, even in the storm, even in the struggle, if it's from God, there will still be a peace that anchors you. It doesn't mean you won't face frustration. It doesn't mean there won't be moments of discouragement, but deep down there will be a knowing that this is worth fighting for, that this is not something to walk away from. The enemy will use anything to divide what God is trying to unite. He will use fear. He will use old wounds. He will use past trauma, insecurity, external voices, even your own impatience. But listen, the enemy cannot stop what God has ordained. He can try to delay it, but he cannot destroy it. He can try to plant doubt, but he cannot erase what has been written, because what God blesses, no man can curse. This is why discernment is key, because the enemy does not always show up in the form of something obviously destructive. Sometimes he shows up as distraction. Sometimes he shows up as an opportunity that pulls you in the opposite direction. Sometimes he shows up as a counterfeit that looks good, feels right, but is missing the hand of God. That's why you can't make decisions based on what is easy. You can't walk away from something just because it's hard, because if you let struggle scare you, you will forfeit the very thing you prayed for. Some of you are in a season right now where you are questioning what God has already confirmed. You are wondering if you heard wrong because the obstacles feel overwhelming. But God is saying, stand firm. Hold on. What I have spoken, I will fulfill. And when God speaks a thing, it does not return void. It does not fail. It does not wither under pressure. It stands, it lasts, it grows. So if you know that God has ordained this, if you know that he has led you to this, don't be moved by the storm. Don't be shaken by the resistance. Because if God is in it, the obstacles are only stepping stones to something greater. And when you come out on the other side, when you look back and see how everything tried to stop it, but God kept it together, you will know that it was never about your strength, but about his sovereignty. We live in a world that is always rushing, always pushing, always demanding, always chasing. We want things fast. We want answers now. We want doors to open the moment we knock. But God does not operate on human timelines. He does not move according to our clocks or our calendars. He moves according to divine alignment. And when it comes to the person he has ordained for you, timing is everything. You see, Just because something is yours does not mean it is yours right now. Just because a door has your name on it does not mean it is time for you to walk through it. Some things are promised, but not yet prepared. Some relationships are destined, but not yet developed. And if you try to force something outside of its appointed time, you risk ruining what God was trying to bless. Think about David, anointed to be king, but not yet appointed. The oil flowed, the calling was clear, the promise was spoken. But after the anointing, David didn't go straight to the throne. No, he went back to the field. He went back to tending sheep. Because just because God shows you a glimpse of where you're going doesn't mean you're ready to step into it yet. And this is where so many people struggle when it comes to relationships. They see the vision, but they don't want to wait for the preparation. They feel the connection, but they don't want to trust the process. They recognize the person, but they don't want to let God shape them both into who they need to be. And so they rush ahead. They force what was meant to flow. They grab what was meant to be given. And when it doesn't work, when it falls apart, they wonder if they heard wrong. They wonder if God changed his mind. But God never changed his mind. They just ran ahead of his timing. Because when it's the right person but the wrong time, it will still feel wrong. When it's the right promise but the wrong season, it will still feel like a burden. Because blessings given prematurely, that's why trusting divine timing is an act of faith. It means believing that if God said it, he will bring it to pass. It means releasing control and understanding that delay is not denial. It means standing firm in the promise, even when the waiting feels like wilderness. And hear me, when God's timing is right, you won't have to force it. You won't have to beg for it, manipulate it, or fight to hold it together. When God's timing is right, things will align naturally, peacefully, supernaturally. It may not happen when you expected. It may not unfold how you imagined, but when it happens, you will know. Because there will be no striving, only surrender. No chasing, only receiving. No confusion, only clarity. And when it happens, nothing will be able to stop it. No distance, no delay, no attack of the enemy. Because what God ordains, no man can undo. But listen, if you are in the waiting season, do not waste it. Do not stand still when God is calling you to grow. Do not sit back when God is calling you to prepare. Because the person he has for you is not just another relationship. This is destiny. This is kingdom purpose. This is something that will change generations. So don't just pray for the right person. Pray to become the right person. Don't just ask God to bring them. Ask him to prepare you for what you are about to receive. Because when the time comes, when the doors open, when the alignment happens, you want to be ready to walk in it. So if you're waiting, trust him. If you're uncertain, believe him. If you're struggling with the silence, know that even in the quiet, God is working. Because when the appointed time comes, nothing will be able to keep you apart. And when that moment arrives, when you step into what he promised, when you look back and see that every delay was divine, every detour was direction, every struggle was shaping you, you will understand it was always going to happen this way. And this is where so many get it wrong. They think love is just about feelings. They think destiny is just about attraction. But when God is in it, he does not just stir your emotions. He speaks to your spirit. He does not just make it feel right. He makes it undeniable. Because when God ordains a connection, he seals it with confirmation. It may come as a whisper in your spirit, a peace that settles deep inside you, so deep that no fear, no doubt, no outside voices can shake it. It may come through wise counsel, through the words of those who have prayed for you, fought for you, and seen God's hand move in your life before you could even recognize it. It may come through circumstances that align so precisely, so unexpectedly, that you know only God could have orchestrated it. And when he confirms it, it will not bring confusion. Let me say that again. God is not the author of confusion. If a relationship leaves you in constant doubt, if it fills you with more anxiety than peace, if it causes you to question your worth, your calling, your place in God's plan, then it is not from him. Because when God writes your love story, he does not use the ink of chaos. Some of you have been praying for a sign, asking God, is this the one? But deep down, you already know, because peace is a language and your spirit speaks it fluently. The problem is we often let our own desires drown out the voice of God. We let loneliness rush us. We let fear convince us that if we don't hold on to this, we'll never find something better. But God will never require you to beg for what he has already prepared for you. So how does God confirm a connection? He confirms it with alignment. Two people walking in the same spiritual direction, growing in their faith, pulling each other toward purpose, not away from it. If you find yourself losing yourself in a relationship, shrinking, compromising your standards, drifting further from God instead of running toward him, that is not divine alignment. That is distraction. He confirms it with peace, not perfection, because no relationship will be without challenges, but a deep, unshakable knowing. A confidence that even in difficulty, even in growth, even in the stretching of love, you are where you are meant to be. He confirms it with fruit. Not just words, not just promises, not just emotions, but evidence. Does this connection bring out the best in you? Does it call you to a higher level of faith, obedience, love, and service? If it is from God, it will bear fruit that testifies to his presence. But hear me, God's confirmation will always require your obedience. Because some of you are waiting for God to confirm what he has already answered. You are waiting for another sign, another word, another dream when he has already spoken. The question is not whether he has confirmed it. The question is whether you will trust him enough to obey what he has shown you. And for some of you, the confirmation will not be in the staying, it will be in the releasing. Because when God removes something from your life, it is not rejection, it is redirection. When he closes a door, it is not because he is punishing you, it is because he is protecting you from something you cannot yet see. And if you insist on holding on to what God is trying to separate you from, you may miss what he is trying to bring you into. So if you are in a season of waiting, listen, if you are seeking clarity, be still. If you are wondering whether this is from God, pay attention to the confirmation, because it is already there. And when God confirms it, move boldly. Stop second guessing. Stop seeking validation from people who don't have the blueprint for your destiny. Stop hesitating on something he has already ordained. Because when God puts two people together, when he speaks, when he moves, there is no need to question what has already been made clear. And when you walk in that confirmation, when you step fully into what he has established, no force on earth, no plan of the enemy, no scheme of man will be able to break what heaven has built, because what God has spoken, no one can overturn. There comes a moment when what God has ordained must come to pass. No delay, no detour, no opposition can stand against what the Almighty has already written in eternity. Because when God sets something in motion, it must manifest in the natural. Some of you have been wrestling, waiting, wondering, will it happen? When will it happen? How will it happen? But hear this. When it is God's will, nothing can stop it. Not time, not distance, not the opinions of people, not even your own doubt. Because when God speaks a thing, it is settled. His word does not return void. It accomplishes everything he sent it to do. And when he says, this is the one, this is the connection, this is the divine union I have ordained for you, nothing in hell or on earth can cancel what heaven has already confirmed. See, you don't have to force what is from God. You don't have to manipulate it, chase it, beg for it to work. What is meant for you will recognize you. The right relationship, the right connection. It will not require you to lose yourself in order to keep it. Some of you have been trying to fight battles that are not yours to fight. You've been trying to hold on to what God is telling you to let go of. You've been trying to prove your worth to someone God never assigned to your life. You've been trying to convince, to persuade, to fix. And all along, God is saying, what I have for you does not need your help to be yours. When it is from God, it will stand the test of time. Seasons may shift. Storms may come. The enemy may try to interfere. Distractions may arise, but what God has ordained will outlast every attack. Think about Joseph. Betrayed, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, forgotten in prison. But when God had destined him for the palace, nothing could keep him in the pit. It did not matter what people did. It did not matter how unfair it seemed. When the appointed time came, he was elevated to exactly where he was meant to be. The same is true for you. Some of you are in a waiting season. A season where it looks like nothing is moving. You've prayed, you've trusted, you've stood in faith, and yet it seems like everything is silent. But listen, God is not slow. He is strategic. Delay does not mean denial. The time in between the promise and the manifestation is not wasted time, it is preparation time. Because when he brings it together, it will be at the right time, in the right way, for the right purpose. The problem is we want the promise without the process. We want God's best, but we don't want to wait. We want his plan, but we also want to control the timing. But what if I told you that the waiting is part of the plan? What if I told you that everything that looks like a delay is actually divine positioning? Because if it is God's will, it cannot be rushed, but it also cannot be stopped. The enemy knows this. That's why he tries so hard to get you to settle for less. He knows he cannot stop God's plan, so he tries to distract you from it. He knows he cannot rewrite God's story for you, so he tries to get you to doubt the ending. But today I declare that every distraction, every delay, every spirit of doubt is being broken. Because when God joins something together, it is unbreakable. When he establishes a covenant, it is sealed in heaven. When he appoints a union, no force can separate it. So stop striving, stop questioning, stop letting fear and impatience push you outside of God's timing. If it is his will, it will happen. No mistake can disqualify it. No opposition can overturn it. No person can remove what he has placed in your life. Stand firm, trust his hand, let go of what is not from him, and open your heart to what is. Because when it is God, you don't have to chase it. You just have to be ready to receive it.